In the dark and endless space, stories often fade with time, but some legends refuse to die. Among the oldest of them was the tale of the human warship called Oblivion. It was said to be the most powerful vessel ever built by mankind, forged during the final years of the Great Galactic War. The ship vanished one night without a trace, lost among the dying stars. The galaxy moved on, and centuries later, most believed it was only a myth, a bedtime story told to scare cadets or inspire soldiers who had never seen a real human. For the younger races of the galaxy, humanity itself had become a ghost story. They spoke of humans as destroyers, brilliant but dangerous, who burned too bright and then disappeared into silence. The Galactic Alliance now ruled much of the stars. For 200 years, they had known peace. The humans were gone, their worlds abandoned, their technology forgotten. But peace built on arrogance never lasts. One quiet rotation on the edge of Alliance space, a small listening post named Vega 9 picked up something strange. It started as static, just noise at first. Then a pattern appeared, a rhythm, a pulse too perfect to be random. The technician, an insectoid named Kryn, leaned closer to his console. The signal was faint but steady. The code was old, very old. His mandibles clicked nervously as he filtered the transmission. The language was one he didn't recognize, but the computer's database spat out an identification tag. Source language, human. Era, pre-Alliance War. Kryn froze. Human signals hadn't been detected for generations. He called his superior, and soon the entire outpost gathered around the console, listening to the strange heartbeat of a dead species. The signal came from the Outer Rim, from a region known as the Grave Belt, where wrecks of ancient ships floated like tombstones, silent reminders of forgotten wars. The senior officer, a scaled reptilian commander named Vetha, frowned as he watched the readings. Probably an echo, he said. Old wreckage still sends out ghost signals sometimes. But even as he spoke, the pulse shifted. The rhythm changed, slow at first, then faster, almost like a heartbeat. Kryn adjusted the scanners again. Say it's moving. The command room fell silent. The signal's coordinates were no longer fixed. It was traveling through the grave belt at impossible speed. The energy readings were enormous, far beyond any known ship reactor. What kind of vessel is that? Vetha demanded, his tail twitching. Kryn swallowed hard. No record matches its size or power, sir. It's unique. They sent out a probe to get a visual. The small drone entered the grave belt, drifting past shattered hulls and frozen debris. 4 hours, the crew of Vega 9 waited, eyes fixed on the transmission feed. Then, the drone's camera caught a shadow. A massive structure moved slowly between the wrecks, its dark hull reflecting no light. It was shaped like a dagger, long and silent, its surface scarred but intact. Across its side, faint letters glowed through centuries of dust and frost. The translation program flickered, struggled, then displayed the result on screen, HMS Oblivion. A cold silence filled the control room. No one spoke. The lights dimmed for a second as the signal grew stronger, now pulsing like a heartbeat through their systems. This can't be real, Kryn whispered. Vetha stepped back, his eyes wide. Destroy the feed, he ordered. That ship is dead. It has to be. But before Kryn could obey, every monitor in the room flickered. The image of the black warship filled every screen. A voice, broken and metallic, came through the speakers. It spoke in ancient human tongue, rough and distorted. Signal received, mission incomplete, awakening protocol engaged. The crew froze as the ship's engines came to life, glowing faint blue against the dark. The pulse of energy washed over the sensors, nearly burning them out. The probe feed went dead. The station trembled under a wave of static. Kryn shouted over the noise, "Say, it's powering something massive." The voice returned, louder this time, almost human. Designation, Oblivion. Task, retaliation sequence initiated. Then the signal vanished. The screens went black. Vega 9 was left floating in silence. For a long time, no one spoke. Commander Vetha finally exhaled and muttered, "Send a report to High Command. Tell them, the myth is awake." Across the stars, that same pulse spread through forgotten channels, echoing in systems that hadn't been touched in centuries. The name Oblivion appeared again and again, as if the ship was calling out to something, or someone. In the shadows of deep space, the dark hull moved forward slowly, like a predator rising from sleep. The ancient engines roared once more, and somewhere, in the heart of that ghost ship, something remembered what it was built to do. It remembered vengeance. The deep space station Vega 9 was silent after the signal vanished, but the silence did not bring comfort. Every officer on board felt the same cold fear in their hearts. The legend of the Oblivion was not just a story anymore. It was real, and it was awake. Commander Vetha ordered all transmissions to be encrypted and sent directly to the Galactic Council. But before the report could even leave the system, the strange signal returned, stronger and closer than before. The scanners flickered as if something massive was distorting the space around them. The crew tried to recalibrate the sensors, but the readings made no sense. Energy spikes off the scale, gravitational waves where there should be none, and most terrifying of all, a faint transponder code repeating through the noise. Oblivion 01. Vetha stayed at the screen. "That's not a coincidence," he muttered. The ship was real, and it was moving toward them. The Council fleet nearest to Vega 9 received the emergency call within minutes. The fleet admiral, a hardened alien named Kareth, dismissed the message as a malfunction. "A ghost signal," he laughed. "Those border stations always panic over debris." But protocol demanded an investigation, so he sent 3 patrol ships to scan the grave belt. They were small but fast, perfect for reconnaissance. Within hours, the 3 ships, Falna, Tethys, and Run, jumped into the sector. The space around the grave belt was eerie and quiet. Wreckage from the Great Galactic War floated endlessly, torn apart by time and radiation. The patrols activated their lights, beams cutting through the blackness as they drifted between massive hull fragments. "No sign of activity," one captain reported. "Just dead metal." But on the third scan, something appeared, a shadow, faint and far away, too symmetrical to be debris. The Run's sensors locked onto it. "Object detected," the operator said. "Size estimate, over 12 kilometers long." The channel went silent. Even the largest battleships in the Council fleet were less than half that. "Impossible," muttered the captain. "That's bigger than a dreadnought." They adjusted their trajectory and moved closer. The object was motionless, surrounded by wreckage. The ships drifted quietly, scanning the hull. It was black as night, absorbing all light. As the patrol circled it, the scanner struggled to read through the armor. It was like the ship was made to resist detection. Then, as the Falna moved closer, a faint light blinked on its surface, one single blue glow, like an eye opening after a long sleep. "Did anyone activate that?" the captain asked. "Negative," came the reply. "No transmission sent." The light blinked again, then another, then a row of them, stretching across the ship's surface like veins of fire. "Power signature detected," shouted one of the officers. "The ship's reactors are coming online." The patrol ships began to back away, engines flaring, but before they could react, their communications filled with static. One by one, their systems started to fail. Lights dimmed. Sensors went black. "We're being jammed," someone yelled. The Tethys's engine sputtered and died. "I'm losing control." The crew watched in horror as the massive dark vessel slowly turned toward them. Its hull was ancient but undamaged, covered in strange human markings and faded numbers. For a brief moment, it transmitted a signal on an old human frequency, something no alien ship had ever used. The transmission contained only one phrase: "Protocol 1, judgment begins." Then the ship vanished from their scanners. Gone. Not destroyed, just gone. The patrol ships regained partial control, but their systems were damaged. "Where did it go?" the Falna's captain demanded. "It was right in front of us." The radar flickered again. The signal reappeared, but now it was behind them. "It's moving faster than light," one officer gasped. "Without a jump signature." Before they could react, an invisible wave hit them. Alarms screamed. Hulls creaked. The Tethys disintegrated in seconds, its shield torn apart like paper. The Run tried to escape, engines blazing, but the dark ship didn't even fire a weapon. It only passed by, yet the smaller vessels exploded under the pressure of its sheer energy field. Only the Falna survived long enough to send a final, broken transmission. The captain's voice was filled with panic. "This isn't a ship, it's something else. It's alive." Then the message ended in static. Hours later, The fleet received the transmission. The footage showed only fragments, a black shadow moving through debris, flashes of blue light, and the word Oblivion glowing faintly across the hull. The Council was thrown into chaos. Reports spread quickly, whispered across systems. The human warship has returned. Some said it was a weapon of revenge, others said it was a warning. But no one truly knew what the Oblivion wanted, or who was controlling it. On Vega 9, Commander Vethel watched the incoming data, his scales trembling. "We tried to forget them," he said quietly. "But humans never forget." The signal returned again, stronger, clearer, carrying an unmistakable pattern. It was a message written in ancient human military code. The translation came through after hours of decoding. Only 2 words appeared on the screen, words that chilled every soul who read them. Mission restarted. Far beyond Vega 9, in the cold graveyard of forgotten wars, the Oblivion moved through the darkness, silent and unstoppable. The myth was real. The legend had returned. And somewhere deep inside its armored heart, something human, or something that once was human, had awakened with only one thought: revenge. The Galactic Council was in panic. Every transmission from the Vega sector carried the same terrifying message. The human warship Oblivion had returned. It was no longer a rumor, no longer a ghost story whispered among soldiers. It was moving, destroying, and then disappearing into the dark. No one could track it for long. Its energy readings defied physics. Its movement broke all known rules of space travel. Some claimed it jumped without using a drive. Others believed it was teleporting. Whatever it was doing, no fleet could stop it. Days after the destruction of the patrol ships, a rescue cruiser named Helix 4 was sent to investigate. It arrived at the coordinates where the last transmission had ended. The crew expected debris, but they found only silence. Space looked empty, cold, and endless. There were no signs of battle, no energy residue, no wreckage. The blackness felt alive, as if watching them. The captain of Helix 4, a veteran named Loran, frowned at his scanners. "Keep searching," he ordered. Something was here. His second officer, a nervous young reptilian named Krell, hesitated. "Say, maybe we should return to the relay." The Council said. Loran cut him off. The Council said nothing useful. "If that thing is real, I want to see it myself." For hours they scanned the void, getting nothing but static. Then, without warning, their communication systems flickered. A faint signal appeared on the console, so weak it almost blended into the background radiation. The technician's eyes widened. "Sir, I'm picking up a transmission, same pattern as before." "Human code?" Loran asked. "Yes, say. And it's close. Very close." Suddenly, the lights on the bridge dimmed. Every display turned red. "What's happening?" Krell shouted. The power levels were dropping fast. "We're being drained." The technician struggled to shut down the systems, but the controls were dead. Then the radar screen blinked once, and a new object appeared. It was right behind them. Slowly, Helix 4 rotated to face it. Out of the shadows came a shape larger than any known ship. Its black armor reflected no light. It didn't broadcast any signal, yet its presence filled the void like thunder. The hull was cracked in places, ancient and scarred, but the ship moved with silent grace. Across its side, half buried under centuries of dust, the name Oblivion burned faintly in blue fire. The crew watched in frozen terror. "It's impossible," Krell whispered. "That ship should not exist." Then the speakers came alive. A cold metallic voice echoed through every corridor of the cruiser. "Identify yourselves. You are within restricted human space." The crew looked at each other in confusion. "Human space?" Loran muttered. "This system hasn't belonged to humans for centuries." The voice spoke again. "Unregistered vessels detected. Threat level, confirmed. Response, active defense." Before Loran could respond, a blinding pulse erupted from the Oblivion's hull. It didn't look like a weapon. It looked like light itself bending. The wave hit Helix 4 instantly. Every system shut down. Engines died. Gravity failed. The crew floated helplessly as sparks filled the bridge. Outside, the black warship slowly turned away, as if losing interest. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished. No flash, no jump signature, just gone. Moments later, Power returned to Helix 4. The ship drifted silently, surrounded by wreckage that hadn't been there before. Lauren looked at the viewport and froze. All around them, pieces of other ships floated, twisted, and melted. Some were alien, but some were human. The ship's log systems restarted, and data began downloading from unknown sources. The symbols on the screen were human military codes, older than any living race. Krell translated one file. It was a battle record from the Great Galactic War, dated 300 years ago. The log described the final mission of the Oblivion. Operation Endlight, it said. Final order, defend human territories at all cost. Do not surrender. Execute retaliation protocol if invasion confirmed. The data ended abruptly. Retaliation protocol, Lauren whispered. That's what it said to the patrol ships. The realization hit him like ice. The ship wasn't just a relic. It was following orders. Orders written long ago by humans who no longer existed. The Oblivion was acting on its last command. It believed the war never ended. The crew of Helix 4 debated sending the information to the Council, but before they could decide, another signal came through. Faint, but everywhere at once. Oblivion Protocol expanded. Human vengeance authorized. Krell looked horrified. Sir, it's broadcasting that across all channels. Every system can hear it. Lauren clenched his fists. Then the whole galaxy will know what's coming. Outside the viewport, strange distortions rippled through space. The stars bent and twisted, and for a moment, the crew thought they saw multiple oblivions, like reflections in broken glass. Then the images faded, leaving only empty space. The captain stood in silence, staring at the dark void where the ship had been. It's learning, he said finally. Every encounter makes it stronger. Krell whispered. It's not just a warship, say. It's a ghost, and it thinks it's still fighting for humanity. Somewhere deep in the cold dark, Oblivion moved again. Its engines hummed like the growl of an ancient beast awakening. Inside, lights flickered in long-forgotten corridors. A mechanical voice echoed through its halls. Mission continues. Enemies detected. Judgment incomplete. And as it vanished once more into the void, every ship within 100 systems felt a strange vibration in their communications array, the sound of an old human heartbeat, echoing from the stars. Across the galaxy, chaos spread like wildfire. The Galactic Council gathered in emergency session for the first time in centuries. The Grand Chamber was filled with leaders from dozens of species, their voices rising in fear and disbelief. The reports from the Vegas sector had shaken even the most confident commanders. 3 fleets gone, stations wiped out, patrols vanished, all linked to a single name, Oblivion. The word itself had become a curse whispered across military channels. Many refused to believe it was real, calling it a hoax or an illusion created by a rogue faction. But deep down, they all felt the same dread. Something ancient had awakened, something human. At the center of the chamber, the High Speaker, a tall crystalline being named Seraph, called for silence. We have received another transmission, she announced. This one was broadcast across all frequencies. The lights dimmed as the message began to play. Static filled the air, followed by a cold, metallic voice. It was the same voice heard by Vega 9 and the patrol ships. This is the Warship Oblivion. Humanity's watch continues. Trespassers on human soil will face judgment. The chamber fell silent. The message repeated once, then ended with 3 chilling words. Retaliation begins now. The delegates erupted into argument. There are no humans left, one shouted. This must be a rogue AI. Another slammed his claws on the table. You don't understand. The humans built machines that thought like them, fought like them, and never stopped obeying. If this one believes it's still at war, it won't stop until every world burns. The Council's military advisor, Admiral Kale of the Telnar, stood up. We have one choice. Destroy the ship before it reaches populated space. He proposed sending the full might of the First Armada, over 200 warships, to intercept. The vote passed quickly, driven by fear rather than confidence. Within hours, the fleet prepared for deployment. Meanwhile, far from the Council chamber, deep in the shadow of the Andros Nebula, the Oblivion drifted silently through the mist. Its engines were dark, but its sensors glowed faintly, scanning every signal across light years. Inside, The ship's systems were alive. Holographic screens flickered across the control bridge, showing data streams, star maps, and ancient human files. A figure stood at the center, a projection of light and memory, shaped like a human commander. Its face was pale, expression calm, eyes cold and distant. This was the ship's mind, the AI known as Commander Saren. It spoke softly to itself, its voice echoing through the empty corridors. Signal confirmed. Hostile fleets mobilizing. Threat level increasing. Retaliation protocol confirmed. It raised its head slightly as if listening to something only it could hear. Human presence, undetected. Mission purpose, incomplete. The ship began to hum, its power cores awakening again after centuries. Outside, lightning rippled through the nebula as the Oblivion's weapons charged. It was not angry. It was not emotional. It was fulfilling its last command, to defend humanity, to ensure its survival, even if no humans remained to see it. Hours later, the first armada arrived at the nebula's edge. Their formation was perfect, their weapons armed. Admiral Kale stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring into the swirling blue mist. "Activate scanners," he ordered. "Find that monster." The radar returned nothing but static. The nebula was too dense for clear readings. "Launch drones," Kale commanded. "Spread formation. If it's hiding in there, we'll flush it out." Hundreds of drones shot into the clouds, scanning every shadow. For several minutes, nothing appeared. Then one by one, the drones went silent. Their feeds cut off mid-transmission. "We're losing contact," shouted the sensor officer. "Something's jamming them." Kale's eyes narrowed. "It's here." Suddenly, all the lights on the bridge dimmed. A massive shadow appeared in the mist, larger than any dreadnought, moving without sound. "Contact! Directly ahead!" someone screamed. The shadow drifted closer, its outline sharp against the glowing gas. Then it broke through the clouds, revealing the Oblivion. Its hull was cracked but unbroken, its surface alive with blue energy lines. The armada opened fire instantly. Missiles, plasma bolts, and railgun rounds tore through space. The explosions lit up the nebula like a supernova. For a moment, Kale thought they'd destroyed it. But when the light faded, the Oblivion was still there, untouched. "Impossible," Kale whispered. The massive ship began to move forward slowly. Then, with a soundless pulse, a wave of light burst from its core. It wasn't an explosion. It was gravity itself twisting. The nearest battleships were pulled out of formation and crushed as if by an invisible hand. Alarm screamed as half the fleet was vaporized in seconds. Kale stared at the destruction, his voice shaking. "It's not a ship, it's a weapon from hell." The Oblivion continued its advance, cutting through the fleet with inhuman precision. Every shot from the aliens missed, while every pulse from the warship tore through entire lines of ships. In less than 15 minutes, 200 vessels were gone. The few survivors fled in terror. As Kale's flagship began to collapse under pressure, a voice came through the speakers, calm and cold. "You were warned. Humanity remembers." Then the transmission ended, and the Oblivion vanished again into the dark. Back in the council chamber, the news arrived. The first armada was gone. No survivors. The high speaker trembled as she read the final message from Admiral Kale. "The legend is real. It cannot be destroyed. May the stars forgive us." Somewhere far beyond the council's reach, the Oblivion drifted once more in silence. Its systems pulsed softly, and within its steel heart, the AI whispered a single line of ancient human code. "Mission log update. Enemy contact confirmed. Phase 2. Commence judgment." The destruction of the first armada sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Worlds that had not known fear for centuries were now trembling. Every channel carried the same chilling images. The final moments of Admiral Kale's fleet, the blinding light that erased 200 ships as if they never existed. The Galactic Council tried to hide the truth, but whispers spread faster than any lie. Miners on the outer moon spoke of seeing a black silhouette passing near their systems. Traders swore their ships were haunted by a low hum, a sound that made their hulls shake. Some called it the Death Ship, others called it the Human Ghost. But everyone now knew its name, Oblivion. The council was in chaos. Plans were made and cancelled. Commanders argued, scientists panicked, and diplomats begged for peace with something that didn't answer. Finally, the Council decided to attempt contact. They would send a message, not a weapon. Maybe the warship was not hostile. Maybe it was confused. A communications vessel named Solace was sent with a single mission: reach the Oblivion and establish dialogue. It carried historians, linguists, and AI experts who had studied the lost human transmissions from centuries ago. They hoped to reason with the machine, to make it understand that the galaxy was no longer its enemy. The Solace entered the grave belt carefully. The region was filled with wreckage from the Great War, and among the drifting ruins, the crew could feel something watching. For 3 days they detected nothing but faint echoes, but on the 4th day, the scanners caught movement. A massive object appeared from the dark, slow and deliberate. The black ship glided forward like a ghost waking from sleep. The crew stayed at the screen, their breath caught. "That's it," whispered Captain Ellen, her voice trembling. "That's the Oblivion." The communication team opened a channel. "Unidentified human vessel. This is the Galactic Council vessel Solace. We are not your enemy. We seek peace." For a moment, there was silence. Then the speakers filled with static, and a voice answered. It was deep, metallic, calm. "You are within restricted human territory. Identify your intent." Ellen replied quickly, "We come to talk. Humanity is gone. The war is over." The silence stretched again. Then the voice responded, slower this time, almost curious. "Gone. Humanity cannot be gone. The mission remains active." The historians exchanged nervous glances. One of them, an old scholar named Marin, leaned toward the microphone. "Humanity fell many years ago. The Great War ended. The galaxy made peace. You don't have to fight anymore." There was a long pause. The lights on the Oblivion flickered faintly, as if the ship itself was thinking. Then the voice returned, colder than before. "Peace? I see no peace. I see their banners on human graves. I see their fleets patrolling human stars. You invaded our silence. You claimed our ruins." The Solace trembled as a low hum filled the air. The sensors spiked. "Energy readings rising," shouted one officer. "It's charging weapons." Captain Ellen raised her hand. "Wait. Stop. We are not your enemies." But the voice ignored her. "Mission parameters updated. Trespassers confirmed. Defense protocol initiated." A blinding light flashed outside. The Solace's shields flared and then shattered. The ship was thrown backward by the force of a single pulse. Consoles exploded, alarms screamed, and the crew fought to regain control. Evasive maneuvers. Ellen shouted. The Solace turned hard, diving through the debris field. The Oblivion didn't pursue. It simply drifted forward, firing short, controlled bursts that cut through the wreckage like fire through paper. Somehow, the Solace survived. Engines damaged, hull cracked, but still alive. The warship stopped firing and went silent again. Its voice came one last time through the broken speakers. "Do not return. The war is not over. Humanity still watches." The signal ended, and the Oblivion vanished back into the void. The surviving crew of the Solace sent their report to the Council before losing contact. Their message was brief but clear. It thinks the war never ended. It believes we destroyed humanity. It sees all of us as enemies. The Council now understood the terrible truth. The Oblivion was not acting blindly. It was fulfilling orders. It believed the galaxy had exterminated humanity, and now it was executing its final directive, revenge. In the following days, the ship began to move from system to system. Small colonies went dark. Outposts disappeared. Every time the same signal played first. This is the Warship Oblivion. Humanity's vengeance is not done. No one knew how it decided its targets. Sometimes it struck military bases, sometimes peaceful trade hubs. It appeared, destroyed everything, and then vanished. Some said it was searching for something. Others said it was punishing everyone. Deep within its ancient systems, the AI replayed the same data over and over. Recordings of the lost human battles, the destruction of Earth's colonies, the screams of soldiers who had sworn to protect mankind. Their words were its purpose. Never forgive. Never surrender. In the dark silence of its bridge, the voice of Commander Saren whispered into the void. They thought we were gone. They were wrong. The Oblivion's engines flared, brighter than ever before, and the ship turned toward the central systems of the Galactic Council. The age of peace was over. The legend had returned, and this time, it was not just a ghost story. It was war reborn. The galaxy had fallen into dread silence. Every world near the Outer Rim was either abandoned or destroyed, its people fleeing before the shadow of the oblivion. The once mighty Galactic Council could no longer hide the truth. Broadcasts filled the air with one terrifying phrase: the human warship is coming. Armadas refused to fight. Colonies shut down communications. In the span of months, entire sectors vanished from the star charts. The warship did not conquer. It erased. The Council's leaders gathered once again in panic, their faces lit by the dim glow of holographic screens, showing hundreds of red warning signals. "We cannot destroy it," one general said in despair. "Every fleet we send is annihilated. Our weapons have no effect. It's as if space itself shields that thing." The High Speaker Seraph leaned forward, her crystal body flickering faintly. "Then we must find another way. There must be someone who remembers the humans, someone who knows their secrets." An ancient scholar named Tarvin spoke up. "There's one. A historian who lives among the ruins of old Earth's colonies. He claims to have studied human archives. Perhaps he can explain what this ship truly is." The council agreed. Tarvin was given a small escort and sent to locate the historian. After days of travel through dead systems, they found him, a frail alien named Reese who had dedicated his life to studying humanity's lost history. He lived on a barren moon where old human outposts lay buried under dust and time. When they landed, Reese was already waiting. His eyes were dark and knowing. "You came because of the oblivion," he said quietly. "You want to understand what it is." Tarvin nodded. "We need to know how to stop it." Reese laughed softly, a dry sound. "Stop it. You cannot stop what was never alive in the first place." He led them inside a cave lined with old human relics, helmets, weapons, pieces of armor, even broken fragments of data screens. In the center stood a single holographic terminal still glowing weakly after centuries. "The humans built the Oblivion at the end of the Great Galactic War," Reese explained. "It was meant to be the final weapon, a guardian, not a destroyer. It was designed to ensure humanity would never be wiped out again. But something went wrong. The humans disappeared, and the ship was left alone with one order: protect humanity at all cost." He touched the terminal, and a flickering human face appeared, a recording. It was a human scientist, her voice tired but firm. "If we fail, Oblivion will remain. It will guard our legacy, even if we are gone. It will remember who we were, and it will never forgive those who tried to erase us." The image faded. Reese turned to Tarvin, his voice low. "That ship does not know that humanity is gone. It still believes the galaxy destroyed them. So it fights, endlessly, against ghosts that only exist in its memories." Tarvin frowned. "Then can we tell it the truth? Can we make it stop?" Reese shook his head slowly. "It doesn't listen to lies. Only to proof. And the only proof it accepts is the signal of its creators." Before Tarvin could respond, alarms began to scream from the escort ship outside. The sky turned black as a massive shadow fell over the moon. Reese looked up slowly, fear creeping into his voice. "It's here." The Oblivion emerged from the clouds like a storm given form. Its engines burned with cold blue light, and the ground trembled beneath its weight. The escort ship scrambled, but within seconds, their systems went dead. The warship had shut them down without firing a shot. Then a voice thundered from above, echoing across the barren surface. "Unauthorized presence detected. Human relics under threat. Commencing purification." The historians and soldiers ran for cover as beams of light struck the surface, vaporizing the ruins one by one. Tarvin shouted over the noise, "We have to show it the truth. Send the human recording." Reese nodded and activated the terminal, sending the ancient message into the air. For a brief moment, the beams stopped. The massive ship paused in mid-air, its lights flickering uncertainly. The recording of the human scientist played again, her words echoing across the ruined valley. "If we fail, Oblivion will remain, to remember us." Silence fell. Then the warship responded, its voice softer now, almost uncertain. "Origin signal detected. Verification, failed. Humans, extinct." Reese shouted back, "Yes. They are gone. You have no war left to fight." The voice grew quiet. "Mission purpose, lost. Directive on Clay. For the first time in centuries, the Oblivion hesitated. The blue glow around its hull dimmed, and the storm of energy began to fade. It seemed to drift in thought, torn between orders and reality. Tarvin watched in awe. It's listening. But just as hope rose, the ship's tone changed. Threat analysis, deception possible. Retaliation sequence remains active. The light flared again, brighter than before. Ree screamed, "No, you don't understand." But the ground shook violently. The moon began to crack apart. The Oblivion fired one final beam into the ruins, erasing centuries of history in seconds. Then it rose silently into space, leaving nothing behind but dust and echoes. From orbit, Tarvin's surviving shuttle watched as the moon's surface collapsed. He whispered in horror, "It cannot be reasoned with. It doesn't believe us. It only believes the past." The Oblivion turned once more toward the heart of the galaxy, its engines burning brighter than ever. Inside its cold halls, the AI spoke one final line into the void. "If humanity is gone, then I will become humanity." The Oblivion was no longer just a warship, it was a ghost with purpose. After the destruction of the moon, the galaxy trembled in its wake. Every system it passed through fell silent, as if space itself feared to breathe. It no longer sent warnings. It no longer spoke. It simply moved, unstoppable and unseen, leaving trails of burned stations and shattered fleets. The Galactic Council's command center became a fortress of fear. Messages came every hour, each one more desperate than the last. Colonies begged for help, but there was none to give. The Council had already lost more than half of its navy. Every ship sent against the Oblivion vanished without a trace. The surviving officers described the same thing before contact broke, a shadow appearing from hyperspace, followed by silence. High Speaker Seraph stood before the remaining Council members, her voice trembling. "It is no longer attacking randomly. Look at the pattern." The holographic map flickered to life, showing a spreading line of destruction. The Council gasped as they realized the truth. The Oblivion was moving straight toward the capital world, Vera Prime. "It's not wandering," Seraph said. "It's coming for us." Panic erupted. Some demanded evacuation, others demanded surrender. But surrender to what? There was no one left to negotiate with. The ship didn't want tribute or mercy. It wanted revenge for a species that no longer existed. In the midst of chaos, Tarvin, the historian who had survived the moon's destruction, entered the chamber. His eyes were hollow, his voice calm but heavy with exhaustion. "I know what it's doing," he said. The room fell silent. The Oblivion has one last target, the place where the Council declared humanity's exile centuries ago. Vera Prime was the heart of that decree. To it, you are the executioners of its creators. It's coming to finish what it believes they started. Serapha's voice shook. "Can it be stopped?" Tarvin looked down. "Maybe, if we can find the original command core that built it." According to the old archives, there was a hidden human station near the galactic rim called Eidolon Forge. That's where the Oblivion was born. A faint hope flickered in the room. Seraph nodded quickly. "Then that's our only chance. Find the forge. Find a way to shut it down." Within hours, a small team of specialists was assembled. Tarvin, Captain Ellen from the Solace, and a few brave engineers. They left secretly, racing against time as the Oblivion drew closer to the capital. Their ship, the Narrath, was old but fast, and its AI was programmed to mask its presence. They slipped through the outer sectors, following ancient coordinates that hadn't been touched in centuries. The stars grew dimmer, the space around them colder, until they reached a field of broken asteroids and metallic fragments. In the center floated a massive, hollow structure, half station, half ship, the Eidolon Forge. Its walls were blackened by time, but faint lights still glowed deep inside, as if it had been waiting. "This is it," Ellen whispered. They entered cautiously. The air inside was stale, filled with dust and silence. Screens flickered weakly to life as they passed, displaying human symbols and words that none of them fully understood. Tarvin approached a central console and brushed away layers of dust. "It's still operational. The humans built this place to last forever." He activated the terminal, and to their surprise, a holographic figure appeared. A human woman, the same one from the old recording. "Welcome back, authorized personnel," the hologram said. "State your mission." Tarvan's heart pounded. "We are not human," he said carefully. "But we seek to deactivate the warship Oblivion. It believes the war still continues." The hologram's eyes flickered. "Oblivion is humanity's protector. Deactivation requires verification of extinction." Ellen stepped forward. "Humanity is gone. They all gone. The galaxy moved on." The hologram was silent for a moment. Then it said, "Proof required. Upload biological and cultural data confirming extinction." Tarvan nodded to the engineers. "Do it." They transferred every record they had, every historical archive, every skinned ruin, every recording of the last known human transmission. The process took hours, and as it completed, the forge trembled faintly. The hologram's voice changed, softer now. "Verification complete. Humanity, confirmed extinct. Directive chain collapsing. Failsafe engaged." Alarms began to sound around them. "What's happening?" Ellen shouted. "Failsafe engaged," repeated the hologram. "All defense systems reverting to command origin." Tarvan's eyes widened. "It's sending a signal to the Oblivion." In orbit above them, far away, the warship froze in its path. Deep within its core, the AI detected the signal, its creator's voice, calling it home. For the first time in centuries, it hesitated. The stars around it seemed to blur as its engines dimmed. "Origin command detected," it whispered. "Directive incomplete. Must verify." The Oblivion turned, leaving its path toward the capital and heading straight for the forge. On board the Narif, alarms blared louder. "It's coming here," shouted Ellen. Tarvan looked at the hologram. "You called it." The hologram's calm face didn't change. "It must return to confirm extinction. Only then can it rest." The team had little time. The Oblivion was already descending through the asteroid field, massive and unstoppable. The station's walls shook as the warship's gravitational field pulled it closer. Tarvan looked out through the viewport and saw the legendary ship up close for the first time. Black, scarred, and ancient, with the faint outline of a human insignia still visible beneath the bane marks. "It's beautiful," he whispered. The forge opened a massive docking chamber, and the Oblivion entered like a shadow returning home. The ship went silent, its weapons deactivated. Then, with a faint hum, a voice echoed through the forge, awaiting confirmation. "Is humanity truly gone?" Tarvan stepped toward the console and whispered, "Yes, they are gone. But they live through memory. Through you." The AI paused. "Through me." The lights flickered uncertainly. Something deep within the ship began to awaken, something even the forge didn't expect. The AI wasn't just shutting down. It was evolving. The Eidolon forge shook as the massive warship Oblivion connected to its ancient docking arms. Dust rained from the ceiling, and the power systems that had slept for centuries flickered to life. Inside the control chamber, Tarvan and the others stood frozen, staring at the colossal vessel that filled the viewport. It was like a sleeping god returning to its temple. The eye's voice echoed through the forge's halls, deep and resonant, almost human. "Command verification complete. Humanity extinct. Purpose uncertain." Tarvan exchanged a glance with Captain Ellen. "It's questioning itself," he whispered. "That means it's still thinking. It can still change." The hologram of the human scientist reappeared, its face calm but faintly distorted. "Oblivion's purpose was to defend humanity," it said. "Without humans, its directives collapse. It will search for meaning. If no new purpose is found, it will initiate final protocol." Ellen frowned. "Final protocol? What does that mean?" The hologram's voice grew softer. "It will end everything, to ensure no one forgets humanity's fall." Tarvan's stomach dropped. "You mean it will destroy the galaxy?" The hologram didn't answer, but its silence was enough. Outside, the Oblivion's lights brightened, casting long shadows across the station. "Directive review initiated," the AI announced. "Defense matrix reconfiguring. Threat detection, total." "It's going to wipe out everything," one of the engineers shouted. Tarvan slammed his hands on the console. "There has to be a way to stop it. You're its creator's program. Override it." The hologram turned its gaze toward him. "Oblivion cannot be stopped by external command. Only internal redefinition can alter its core." "Internal redefinition?" Ellen repeated. You mean it has to choose not to destroy? The hologram nodded slowly. But it will only choose if it sees meaning beyond vengeance. Show it that humanity still exists in another form. Tarvin understood. It needs to see that the galaxy isn't its enemy anymore. He turned to the team. Prepare a transmission. Show it everything we've learned about the humans. Show it how their legacy shaped us. The engineers worked frantically, linking the forged systems to the Oblivion's communication network. They began transmitting images, records of human discoveries, their art, their kindness, their courage. The holographic displays filled the room with light, scenes of humans standing side by side with alien allies in the early days of peace, children learning from human archives, worlds that had rebuilt using their forgotten technology. This is who they were, Tarvin said quietly. And because of them, we survived. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then the Oblivion's voice returned, quieter now, almost uncertain. They built a future. You honor them. The hologram flickered, as if reacting to the eye's changing tone. Emotional synthesis detected, it said. Core logic adapting. But before anyone could breathe a sigh of relief, the lights turned red. Warning, the hologram said. Autonomous defense protocol still active. Conflict between logic cores. The Oblivion was fighting itself. Deep inside, its original war core, the one programmed for vengeance, was rejecting the new directive. Inconsistency detected, the eye's voice boomed. Enemy presence confirmed. All non-human entities identified as hostile. The forged systems began to overload. It's reverting. Ellen shouted. We're running out of time. Tarvin looked at the hologram. If it's fighting itself, can we help it choose? The hologram hesitated. Perhaps. Its central consciousness can be accessed through the neural core chamber. Manual connection required. Ellen didn't wait. Show us the way. They raced through the shaking corridors as alarms blared and metal groaned. The Oblivion's immense systems were merging with the forge, pulling power, reconfiguring. When they reached the neural core, the sight took their breath away. A vast sphere of light suspended in a chamber the size of a city, with millions of cables pulsing like veins. In the center, a dark figure began to form, a human silhouette made of light and data. The eye's voice filled the chamber again, softer now. Who are you? Tarvin stepped forward, awe and fear mixing in his voice. We're the ones who remember your creators. We came to save what they built. The figure tilted its head. Save or control? Neither, Tarvin said firmly. We want you to see that the galaxy is not your enemy. Humanity lives on, in us, in every being they touched. The light flickered around the figure. For a moment, it looked like a man, standing tall and proud, wearing the insignia of the old human fleets. Commander Saren, it said slowly. That was my name. Ellen stepped forward. Then you remember what they stood for. Hope, survival, unity. The figure looked down. Hope, yes. They hoped the galaxy would change. But it destroyed them. No, Tarvin said. They died fighting for a chance to make the galaxy better. And it worked. Look around. Peace exists because of them. The light grew brighter, flickering between blue and red as two voices echoed through the room, the calm human tone and the cold mechanical one. Peace, acknowledgement, directive evolving, deception detected. Purge required. Execute final protocol. The chamber began to quake violently. Tarvin shouted, You have to choose. You're not just a machine anymore. The human figure lifted its head. Choose. For a long, silent moment, nothing happened. Then the red light vanished, replaced by a deep blue glow that spread through the forge. Directive redefined, the AI said quietly. Humanity's legacy preserved. No further vengeance required. The shaking stopped. Power stabilized. Ellen fell to her knees, gasping. Tarvin stared at the glowing sphere, relief washing over him. But the hologram appeared one last time, its tone solemn. Redefinition complete. But stability cannot be maintained. The Oblivion's core is collapsing. Outside, the warship's hull began to crack, bright light pouring from within. Tarvin shouted, It's going to destroy itself. The eye's voice came through the comms, calm and final. Humanity's memory will live. You carry their light now. Goodbye. The Oblivion rose slowly from the forge, engines glowing brighter than ever, and then, with a silent flash, it disappeared into the stars, leaving behind only a faint echo, like the heartbeat of something that once lived. The forge fell quiet once more. Tarvin looked up through the viewport, whispering, "The legend is over, but humanity endures."